Anyway, let's talk about Bitcoin.
Well, before we talk about Bitcoin, actually, let's. This is a nice segue from the EU and all the ESG stuff. So this is just one story I wanted to cover, which is, so you remember 20 years ago, whatever it was, we were all urged to buy diesel cars.
Yes.
Then along comes, diesels, the technology is really good, it's really clean, blah, 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 it's environmentally friendly. So a lot of people, on government advice, invested and bought a diesel car. Then along comes the Volkswagen diesel scandal. The diesel pollution had been misdiagnosed.
Oh, wow. I can't believe the science changed.
We only tested the car when it was idling, not when it was driving, and this kind of thing. And so then suddenly, oh no, diesel is evil. We're going to attack diesel. We're going to attack diesel, blah, blah, blah. Electric vehicles. You've got to be buying electric vehicles.
Oh, until we hear about how lithium's dangerous for the environment.
Well, that's coming.
Yeah.
And so, already Hunt has changed the tax laws on electric vehicles, whereas previously they were exempt from taxes. Now they effectively pay the same fuel duty.
Oh, isn't this because, exactly, they don't need the fuel duty, and so the government's losing revenue?
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
And it was inevitable when they gave them all those tax breaks in the first place that this tax break isn't going to last. But what is beautiful is in the EU really jumped on this ESG and the electric vehicle craze. They really jumped on it. After the Paris Accord, what a stupid word. But anyway.
We're all in accordance here, don't you know?
And so all the European countries started, encouraging their citizens. And Switzerland has now said, Switzerland's gone electric vehicle crazy. Switzerland produces some of its own energy, hydroelectric, but most of its energy, it imports. And because of it's worried about this winter and where it's going to get its electricity from.
Everyone is.
It's now turning around and it's saying it's imposing bans on driving electric cars.
Oh, really?
Because it's worried about energy security. So having been told to buy this car, you're now going to be not allowed to drive it. Now, it's investigating plans. So it hasn't actually done it.
Yeah.
But if any electric vehicles lead to blackouts, then that's what's coming. Now, there's a precedent here, which is the Galapagos Islands, famously environmentally sensitive place.
Yeah. Isn't it all a nature preserve?
Yeah, exactly. Off the east coast of, off the west coast of Ecuador.
Yeah.
But 3 hours flight off the west coast. It's in the middle of the Pacific on the equator. And I think I'm going to say 2016 or 2017, they deliberately, in order to keep the island clean and to reduce air pollution, but also all the animals, the tortoises and the lizards, they stray on the road. So roadkill is a big issue there. So they made it really, really difficult to get a vehicle license for Galapagos locals.
Right.
And it was also to protect the taxi industry. And then suddenly at some point somebody got in charge of the Galapagos Islands, and they were like, no, anyone can have an electric vehicle. As long as your vehicle's electric, you're going to have an electric vehicle. Now, the great irony is that all the electricity in the Galapagos Islands, somebody built them 3 wind turbines,
right?
And there was a big fanfare. Look, these overseas energy companies. Look, we've got wind turbines, and Galapagos Airport's the only fully wind and solar-powered airport in the world. Then about a year later, after they got all their publicity, the wind turbines stopped turning, and nobody on the island knew how to fix them. So now these wind turbines are next to the airport where everyone will see them. They weren't even put in the windiest part of the island because they got their studies wrong. So there's these 3 monuments to climate change, and the wind turbines are just stuck, and they haven't turned for years. Anyway, back to the electric vehicle scenario. So all the electricity for the electric vehicles was generated by burning diesel.
Well, this is the meme that you see going around, isn't it? It's like, look at my wonderfully, my electric vehicle, and then they drive just to the fuel that's powering it.
Exactly, and because it's out of sight, it's out of mind.
Yeah,
it's like the UK fracking. We banned fracking here, and so we're importing our natural gas now from the United States, where it was generated by fracking.
Yeah, and
yet, so there's the transport costs as well.
And they always do this though. As long as it's significantly far away, then that's fine. We're good people. It's like, that's not what makes you good people.
No. So anyway, everyone in the Galapagos got their electric vehicle.
Yeah.
And they're all driving around happy. Look at my electric vehicle. Roadkill went up massively. Loads of birds and other creatures got run over, and it's a big problem because the wildlife is totally clueless because it's never been predated, whatever the word is.
Yeah.
But then the other thing is it led to blackouts. because there wasn't the electricity to serve all the electric vehicles, even with the burning of all the diesel, because they hadn't invested enough in the grid.
Yeah.
So the whole thing was a total disaster.
Yeah.
And eventually, and so they had a moratorium on the whole thing. Of course, look at us electric vehicles, loads of fanfare and publicity. The moratorium, whole thing brushed under the carpet. But that story is potentially a metaphor for where we're going with electric vehicles in Europe. It's already starting to happen in Switzerland. We don't have there hasn't been the concomitant investment in electricity power grids, like and so on.
Power.
Nuclear power in particular. Yeah. And as we were talking about, the primary source of the energy is the burning of fossil fuels anyway. So it's hypocritical. So I think...
Look at Germany. Germany being the case study on this.
Exactly. So
decommission all our nuclear power plants and go back to coal. Why? For the environment. What are you mental?
So there's 3 types of energy that we use in the world, which is transportation, heating, and electricity. And I'm going to see how well you know your stats.
I don't.
Global energy, what percentage is fossil fuel of all total global energy?
I mean, I would say something like 70% or something.
85%.
Oh, there we go.
And it's actually 84%, 84.3. Right. And that's with all the investment that we've seen in, hydroelectric and green and all the rest of it. But of electricity, which is the only one, like you can't drive a car on wind power, but you can generate electricity with wind power. But even with global electricity, fossil fuels still account for 63% of global electricity. Now, that number's coming down. 10% is nuclear, 16% is hydropower.
Isn't it just a crime that only 10% of electricity generation is nuclear?
Oh, it's just one of the most dumb things. But that's, again, that's changing now because this power emergency has changed so much. So that's ESG, load of rubbish.
Well, no, I totally agree.
And which takes us again nicely into our next story.
Yeah.
Which is we're talking about Bitcoin and FTX, the scandal. And Sam Bankman-Fried still hasn't been arrested, by the way.
Yeah, he's still free.
He's sitting in his Bahamas holding court.
He's doing like Skype calls and stuff. And he's just like, well, we just made mistakes. We overreached. It's like, dude, you stole billions of dollars.
It's one of the biggest frauds ever, and it's a classic. It's not a Bitcoin problem. It's a classic. It's when fraud. You take client money and you don't keep it. You use it for something else.
It's not a Bitcoin problem. It's a fraud problem.
Yeah, and it's like been the cause of bank runs since all recorded history.
Yeah.
But what's so funny is ESG gave Sam Bankman-Fried a higher governance rating than it did the boss of Chevron Mobile.
Which tells you everything you need to know about ESG.
It's just...
it's a scam.
It's a shameful.
I hate to give Elon Musk more props, but he did tweet out recently ESG is the devil.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, which I agree with completely.
Well, he's right.
Yeah, he is.
So with everything that's happened with this FTX fraud, there's been a lot of... And it's always this way. Narratives follow price. And so when a price of something's going up, why is the price of Apple going up? Well, everyone's using iPhones, blah, blah, blah. We're back to our initial thing of perspective. Yeah. Because Bitcoin is, right at the bottom of a horrible, horrible bear market. All the people who never liked it are all gloating, and all the pro-Bitcoin people are sort of sitting with their tails between their legs.
Just as a quick aside there, I did look at the Bitcoin prices recently, and you can see like a few years ago it was just like, and then now it's really, really low. Why is that?
Well,
I don't understand it.
You pin your own reasons on why a market does what it does.
Okay, yeah.
The ultimate reason is more sellers than buyers.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know anything about it. So.
You just look at the way Bitcoin trades, and it goes through kind of 4 phases. It goes through a sort of quiet phase when nobody cares about it. Then there's a sort of suddenly the price starts going up, and there's a mania. And then the price crashes, and then it goes back into the quiet phase again.
Right.
I've missed out a phase, but anyway. But it does. It's coupled by these manias, followed by the disasters, and we're in the sort of towards the end of the disaster phase. But
I was
prompted, and Merrin Somerset Webb, who's a former FT journalist, now Bloomberg journalist, great friend of mine, my old boss at Money Week. I've been trying to orange pill her for forever, and Merrin's extraordinarily bright. And she gets Bitcoin. She understands why we have it there, but she doesn't like it.
Why not?
She's a gold bug.
Right.
Old-fashioned gold bug.
Fair enough.
And she's not she's not brilliant with techie stuff, and she doesn't like all the, well, where's my password gone? I've lost she doesn't like all that. But so I was prompted, she was criticizing it, and her question was, how does Bitcoin make the world better? So I was prompted to write an article, 10 reasons why Bitcoin makes the world better, but it ended up becoming 17 reasons.
Right, okay.
and I was... it probably could have been 20, but I just stopped at 17. I just kept adding more reasons. So I was just going to go through these 17 ways that Bitcoin makes the world better. But were you looking at the clock then?
I was, but we'll just hammer through them.
We'll hammer through them.
I'm not in a position to challenge them because I literally know nothing about Bitcoin.
Well, challenge me and ask some questions. I'll hammer through them.
Just hammer through
Okay.
them,
Firstly, it separates money and state. Now, if we were writing... If we were writing the Lord of the Rings about how to fix the world economy, what is the gold ring, the ring of power?
Surely it's a unified...
What is the throwing of the ring of power into the Mount Doom? For me, it's fiat money. It's our system of money. We need to separate money and state. At the moment, they print money, they use it for political agenda, and so on and so forth. And if you want to know why it is that the government, the state's grown so big in the West, it's because it can print its own money. When one body in a society can print money and create money at no cost to itself and no risk to itself, then it's inevitable that body will have too much power. It's not even no risk to
itself. You underwrite that.
Yeah.
Your children, their children, underwrite all
Exactly. So it's inevitable. That is why the state is so bloated compared to how big the state was in previous eras. Bitcoin separates money and state, number one. Two, it provides a lifeline. If you're in Venezuela or Turkey or Argentina, somewhere that suffers from huge inflations, you notice Bitcoin usage goes up massively in those countries where the currency is being destroyed.
Bitcoin can't be inflated.
No. Right. They need a hard currency.
I get it, yeah.
Three, sending money across borders is hard. You've
got to convert it.
You've got to convert it. If you want to send £1, if I want to buy my mate in India £1 to buy him a cup of coffee, how do I send £1 to India?
Good question.
But similarly, if I want to send £100 to my mate in Iran because I know he's having a hard time, or £1,000, how do I send that? You can't. Bitcoin is borderless, instantaneous, cheap. You can send money to anyone, anywhere.
And surely it doesn't lose value because whenever you have to convert something, then whoever's doing the converting takes a percentage.
There's a tiny cost to sending the money, but it's minuscule, particularly if you use a Lightning Network. 4, no more capital controls, the same reason. Government can't control the flow of Bitcoin capital.
Yep.
5, it obviates central banking because the Bitcoin inflation rate is set in the code. It's pre-programmed and it's set in the code, and it's transparent. Everyone knows what it is, so that there can't be. But central bankers, they don't meet every 4 months or every month, whatever it is, to decide what the interest rate is. It removes that policy. Set interest rates can't be left too low or too high for too long.
And they're not at the whim of a small group of people running a bank.
Exactly. 6, it increases financial inclusion. Now, if you think around the world, still, I think it's 1.5 billion people are still financially excluded. They don't have access to basic banking. And that holds people in poverty more than anything else, not having basic financial services. To start receiving and sending crypto, all you need is an internet connection. 95% of the world now, amazing fact, 95% of the world now have smartphones.
Right. So to our viewers in the Congo, hello.
Exactly. And send him a tip in some Bitcoin.
Yeah, subscribe on lotus.com.
7, it provides privacy. I'm not going to go into the ethics of privacy here, but if you want privacy, particularly in this world of CBDCs, have you been a good boy? Have you had the vax? Have you been supporting ESG stuff? No. Well, you can't use this retailer. I'm going to give you a bad increases privacy. The problem of digital cash, this is we're on 8 now. I'm piling through this, hopefully quick enough.
It's fine.
This was where if you go into a shop, you hand cash directly to the bloke in the shop. It is a direct transaction from A to B. And for years, computer programmers had been trying to solve the problem of how to replicate that process digitally. And there wasn't a way of doing it without having a middleman process the transaction. And the reason is, if I send you a picture or a video or something like that, any kind of computer code, you can copy and paste it and send it out to a million different people. And if you can copy and paste money, it loses its value instantly. So it needs a middleman. And it was deemed that digital cash is an insolvable problem. And then along came Satoshi Nakamoto and his blockchain, the database that records all the transactions. It solved the problem of digital cash. Great breakthrough. Similarly, number 9, it solved the problem of digital scarcity. You know, if you can replicate upload an app to the App Store, it can be downloaded 1 billion times. That's why the digital economy grows so quickly and so fast. But how do you create digital scarcity? It was impossible until Bitcoin came along, solved that problem. 10, it educates. The poet Ezra Pound once said, monetary illiteracy is the curse of our times, just as an inability to read plain print was the curse of earlier centuries.
I think it might just be the curse of all times.
Well, no, because, you know, I used to have to explain, if I said fiat money, I used to always have to explain what fiat money is. Bitcoin has got people thinking about money systems, talking about money systems, designing new money systems. It's been an incredibly educative tool. 11, it solves the problem of excess money supply. The money supply is limited and finite. 12, it's created an entirely new economy and an asset class. When kids ask me, what do I do? What business do I get to? I just say, go and work in crypto. It's the future. It didn't exist before. Now it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Is it money? Is it a digital commodity? Is it a tech stock? It's an entirely new asset class. 13, it's provided the young with an opportunity for revenge on high house prices. Only the young understand it. If the tax
revenge against the boomers, right?
It is. It is the revenge of the young against the boomers. Right. They don't have to pay for their retirements anymore. We've got Bitcoin.
That's a creative way of viewing it.
Yeah. 14, it stops cancel culture. If you think how PayPal cancelled the Free Speech Union, or it cancelled WikiLeaks or the Canadian truckers. You can't do that with Bitcoin. You can't turn off the funding taps. It stops the currency wars. 15, it stops energy waste and accelerates innovation. Now, Bitcoin mining is incredibly energy intensive. It requires a lot of energy. And that is why people don't understand this. Just because something consumes a lot of energy, it doesn't mean it's bad.
No.
The reason the Bitcoin network is the most powerful computer network in the world is because of all the energy it consumes in maintaining it. Satoshi Nakamoto wanted to replicate, you know, the gold has value because of all the trouble you go to having to discover it and mine it. It's precious, it's rare. So Nakamoto was trying to do this, replicate that with what he called proof of work. And the reason that Bitcoin is so valuable is because of all the proof of work that's gone into it, which is caused by the energy. But Bitcoin mining can happen anywhere in the world. It doesn't have to happen right, you know, in W1. So what has happened is, by the rules of economics, the need to make profit, it gravitates to anywhere in the world where energy is cheap, one, and two, it goes unused. So, for example, hydroelectric, it costs 3 times as much to store electricity as it does to actually create it in the first place.
Right, I didn't know.
So it goes like land next to nuclear power stations, solar gas, you know, gas flaring, it's incredibly wasteful. Now that gas gets used for Bitcoin mining. Hydroelectric after floods. Gravitates to all these places, and so it's accelerated and improved energy efficiency and energy creation. And by the way, we're not going to solve. Human beings have always consumed energy, and as we've got more sophisticated, we've consumed more energy. And energy consumption is a sign of sophistication. It doesn't mean you're sophisticated, but it's a sign of a sophisticated society. We're not going to progress civilization if we consume less energy. We're going to solve all these problems by finding better ways to produce and consume energy.
It'll be efficiency that improves things, not reduction.
Bitcoin accelerates that. We're on 16.
Yep.
It eliminates spam. The original reason for what was called proof of work and reusable proof of work was a thing called hash cache, and it was thought if you have to prove that every time you send an email you've expended a tiny bit of energy, and you stamp that email with a hash cache that shows you've expended this energy, then that eliminates spam straight away, because it means spam requires you can't spam. And so they invented this thing called proof of work, Adam Back, and then another computer programmer came along with reusable proof of work. And that's basically all Bitcoin was, and it reduces spam because you have to show that work has gone into the production of the email. And finally, it proves in an immutable way who said what and agreed to what, where and when. It is a permanent record. And it's unhackable permanent record. And this is the blockchain, the permanent database. You know, at the moment, it's a universal witness that cannot be corrupted or censored or denial of service attacked. Legal and financial system, this ability to prove who said what, where and when, it's there's a lot of crude ad hoc verification procedures. Bitcoin solves that. So there you go. 17 ways by which Bitcoin makes the world better.